I am Marissa Trew. I'm from Singapore. I am the head of content for Tezos APAC. I'm also the host of the global Tezos Ecosystem podcast, Tez Talks Radio. We are so much at the earliest stages of this technology. We're very much discussing a lot of these things in principle and these big ideas that we're trying to, eventually materialize, but are still very much in an experimental process. Like, we don't actually fundamentally know with total certainty of what this decentralized world we're trying to build is ultimately going to look like. And I think people are getting kind of sucked into the dominance of this conversation and thinking that we're farther along than we are. The vast majority of the people we're speaking to have more questions than they have answers. And those are actually really critical questions that are going to help guide what this eventually becomes. But it means that as evangelistic as we can all be about the potential of this technology, and I think we should be excited about it, we really do also have to have a very critical eye of how exactly we're going to build this in a very conscientious and careful way, because we don't want to find ourselves essentially repeating systems that didn't work for us on new technology. It's not going to work that way. So we have to be a bit more critical, not skeptical per se, but we have to think about this carefully. I think because this technology is still very much in its nascent and early stages, it means that while we understand what we're aspiring for in principle, we haven't really worked out the practical details that are going to make it a reality just yet, but we're all experimenting to try and find that out. There's almost like a crypto native community who are sort of part builders and part users. They're creating products that they themselves want to use, and in that they understand what the value is and where they can change it to adapt to their needs. But at the same time, when we talk about the principle of crypto or blockchain technology going mainstream, bridging the gap in understanding as to why these are technological features that are needed is still a very big question mark amongst the mainstream audience, and I think we're just going to need to tackle that through education. What Tezos has in its favor as a technology is that the ecosystem that's built around it is inherently creative, and that's why we're seeing this kind of emergence of creator spaces across gaming, advertising, new art, traditional art, even sports companies that are getting involved in the mix, and kind of big brands that are looking into how they can get involved, because I think everyone's commonly understanding that this is a technology that isn't going away. This is innovation you can't actually put back in a box. And I think what the Tezos ecosystem and the community has done is make it as easy as possible to gain access to that kind of information, so that it's not as much of a leap in the dark as it might be for, the person who's kind of initially exposed to this space. I think it's going to come down to a more seamless integration between our physical and our digital worlds. Like, if you think about it, we already engage in digital spaces all the time, whether you're on a Zoom call, whether you're texting someone on your phone, sending a voice note. And then as we see emerging technologies like augmented reality, which have been around for a while, we're going to see them come into our lives in a much more interactive and practical way. And then we're also going to have much more immersive digital experiences as well. We're going to be able to jump into and out of the physical and virtual worlds more easily and more readily, and we're also going to blend the two together in a way that we haven't seen properly just yet. Like I said, I think we're dealing with a new kind of technology that we haven't really set parameters around yet. So in that sense, the creative potential is a free-for-all. So until we start setting up, these bumpers to guide us along the way, or set really clear-cut objectives, the possibilities are endless with what we could do with it, and I'm kind of excited to see what comes out.